Deep in the heart of an ancient, desolate desert, a team of determined archaeologists embarked on a treacherous mission, hoping to uncover the mysteries hidden beneath the scorching sands. Their relentless pursuit for treasures led them to a long-forgotten burial site rumored to hold unimaginable wealth and ancient relics. Days turned into weeks as the expedition persevered under the grueling sun, tirelessly unearthing historical remnants. Every fragment held a story from the distant past, tantalizing their insatiable hunger for discovery. Finally, after countless hours of relentless digging, they uncovered a peculiar sarcophagus, ornately adorned with complex hieroglyphics that spoke of unimaginable power. Curiosity danced in their eyes, and their hearts raced with anticipation as they slowly lifted the ancient casket, revealing a void filled with darkness. The air grew heavy, and a chilling silence settled over the camp. Unbeknownst to the archaeologists, they had awakened something far more sinister than they could ever imagine. Under the starry night, it was as if the desert whispered secrets, warning of the nefarious presence lingering within the sarcophagus, ignorant to the dormant malevolence within. They transported the time-worn container with an air of nonchalance, eager to examine its contents in the confines of their sterile laboratory. Upon arriving late at night, they placed the sarcophagus in a dimly lit corner, overshadowed by the buzzing equipment and cluttered desks. The team members busied themselves with their findings, oblivious to the unease that emanated from the once sleeping tomb. Their laughter and excitement masked the fiery aura that enveloped the room. Days turned into weeks as the archaeologists delved further into their discoveries. Their focus shifted, and the forgotten sarcophagus became a mere backdrop, collecting dust in the far corner. Little did they know that, within the shadows of the laboratory, a dreadful presence lay in wait. Night by night, the faintest whispers echoed through the corridors. Strange occurrences plagued the researchers' dreams, turning them into sleep-deprived shells. Objects would inexplicably move, whispers grew louder, and a pervasive chill seemed to swallow the life from the room itself. Whispers transformed into voices, and the dark presence began to manifest. Panic gripped the researchers' hearts as they sensed their impending doom. But seeking refuge in ignorance, they continued their work, desperate to ignore the encroaching malevolence. The laboratory turned into a prison of fear, its once familiar halls tainted by an otherworldly presence. Apparitions of shadowy figures now lurked in every corner, their hollow eyes filled with an insatiable hunger for revenge. The wrath of the awakened mummy began to consume their lives, its vengeance unleashed upon those who dared trespass on its eternal slumber. In the depths of the night, screams filled the air, merging with the distant sound of shattering glass. The archaeologists, now paralyzed by fear, clung to the remnants of their dwindling rationality. The malevolent force that had been awakened would not rest until it had claimed their very souls. And so, the tale begins, as the research team desperately tries to navigate a maze of terror and survival, each step leading them closer to the unspeakable truth that lay dormant within the sarcophagus, waiting to unleash horrors unimaginable upon the world. As fate would have it, disaster struck during the treacherous transportation of the ancient sarcophagus. The fragile container, already weakened by centuries of burial, suffered a devastating blow, causing a gaping hole to tear through its ancient shell. With a grating screech, the terrors within were unleashed, and the long-imprisoned mummy clawed its way out into the world once more. The air thickened with an oppressive darkness as the mummy emerged, its once restful slumber shattered. It let out an eerie cry, a haunting wail that pierced the night. signaling its resurrection and awakening the sinister forces lurking within the distant depths of sandy tombs and the desolate burial grounds where countless mummies had long lain undisturbed. The cry awakened others of its kind. Dust-laden bandages unraveled, and the tattered remains of decaying corpses stirred to life. Mummies of warriors, pharaohs, and long-forgotten souls rose from their crypts, responding to the call of their awakened brethren. As the night sky illuminated by a blood-red moon, the mummies shambled forward, their movements eerily synchronized, an army of darkness with a collective purpose. Their hollow eyes glowed with an unholy light, reflecting the malevolence that consumed their ethereal beings. Together, they embarked on a relentless march, their unholy cries echoing across the arid desert, staining the air with dread. Horrified witnesses who glimpsed their unholy procession from afar were struck dumb with terror. Legions of the resurrected dead traversed the sands, leaving a trail of ancient curses and vengeful destruction in their wake. Fields turned barren, rivers run dry, and the living dared not venture beyond their fortified walls for fear of an ill-fated encounter with the relentless mummy horde. Within the heart of civilization, chaos and panic reigned. The once bustling city now stood on the precipice of devastation, its people cowering in fear as the mummies approached, their footsteps resonating with impending doom. The streets had become a battleground between life and the wrath of those long past. But even amidst the chaos, a flicker of hope ignited in the hearts of a brave few who refused to succumb to despair. Scholars of ancient history, guided by their unyielding determination, raced against time to decipher the cryptic scrolls and incantations that could offer a glimmer of salvation. With ancient rituals, incense, and desperate prayers, they sought to bind the merciless forces that had been awakened. But the battle against the rampaging mummies proved to be a treacherous struggle, as these cursed souls were fueled by an unrelenting desire for revenge, tragedy, and the yearning for their stolen rest. The confrontation between the living and the undead raged on, the scales tipping precariously between salvation and damnation. Ultimately, the fate of humanity hung by the thinnest of threads as the mummy horde pushed ever closer to achieving their dark deeds, leaving a path of destruction and desolation in their wake. As the relentless mummy horde pressed forward, their numbers grew exponentially with each unfortunate victim that fell before their wrath. They unleashed their unholy powers upon the living, transforming them into cursed beings, doomed to join their dreaded ranks. The once vibrant world crumbled beneath their malevolent might, reduced to a desolate wasteland shrouded in darkness and death. The mummy army's journey drew to an ominous climax as they reached the very heart of their desire, the laboratory where they were once ignorantly abandoned. With booming steps that reverberated through the building, they burst through the doors, their hunger for vengeance unyielding. Within the laboratory's sterile walls, chaos erupted. The screams of the doomed scientists echoed through the chambers as the mummies laid waste to everything and everyone in their path. Equipment and instruments toppled and shattered, while the echoes of terrified prayers and futile pleas danced through the smoke-filled air. One by one, the defenders fell, their futile resistance no match for the supernatural strength of the undead. Their bodies crumbled and their souls were ripped from existence, leaving behind a trail of lifeless victims, now destined to forever eternally guard the laboratory-turned-tomb. As the carnage subsided, silence settled over the once bustling laboratory, now transformed into a haunting burial ground. The mummies claimed the space as their own, a twisted victory carved out of the ruins of scientific pursuit. The laboratory, once a symbol of human discovery and innovation, was now a forsaken graveyard, a sinister sanctuary for those who would never know peace. Within the laboratory tomb, the mummies settled into their newfound domain, guarding the secrets that lay hidden within its walls. The ethereal silence was interrupted only by the whispers of ancient knowledge, carried on the spectral winds that perpetually haunted the forsaken halls. The outside world shivered in fear, aware of the darkness that now dwelled within their midst. The once thriving city had succumbed to the malevolent grasp of darkness, forever entwined with the curse brought forth by the vengeful mummies. The curse persisted, spreading unstoppably, turning the city and its inhabitants into a ghostly spectacle of eternal damnation.